Cool, man. Today, we got Black C on the podcast, hip-hop pioneer, founder, and member of the RBL Posse. How we doing?
Man, doing good, man. Glad to be here.
I really appreciate you taking the time, making the drive from Antioch and being 30 minutes early.
Hey, come on, man. Got to, man. Hey, professionalism, man. That's what it's about.
Yeah, we were just talking about how that kind of goes a long way and kind of,
Yes, sir.
being on rappers' time or just being on artist time. It could be detrimental sometimes to your career.
Exactly. It's a lot of divas in this game,
For sure.
A lot of divas,
Yeah, have you had to deal with a lot in this industry?
I would say, yeah, a lot of lessons learned, just being in the industry, just learning about just how everything works, from how to recouping royalties, reserves, just a lot of that, to also, as far as dealing with managers, dealing with promoters. It was a lot to learn over the years, man, and it built me to being, I think, like a good businessman, you know what I mean? Just learning and being open to learn new things, especially coming from the block where you used to just being an entrepreneur, as you can say, just buying and selling, drugs. So when it switched over to CDs, I had to learn a little bit different how the system worked. It ain't as easy as just getting drugs. You buy them at a certain amount, and then all of a sudden you dumping them at a certain amount. You know how much you making. The recoupment process when you get money in the record industry is real tricky.
Yeah, man, that's one thing I'm really excited to talk to you about is just the different eras of the music you've lived through and like put music out, cassette, CD,
man,
digital. So I'm really excited for this one. I just want to start off from the beginning. Your parents originally from...
Yeah, they from Hunters Point. Well, they come from Texas and New Orleans, Louisiana. And my father from Texas, my mom and them, her family is from Louisiana.
What made them come out to San Francisco?
I think just jobs, just looking for, better lives. A lot of people migrated from the South, and just moved in. They had the shipyards, over there by Harbor Road, behind in the back. It was the shipyard back there. They was having jobs, and people like my grandmother and great grandmother, and moved out. They migrated out here, just looking for jobs, better lives, and working down there at the shipyard, and stayed up. And they start using I guess you call them like Army barracks, which is now the projects, giving them low income housing as they work down there at the Navy Yard and all that. So that's how they ended up out here.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you have family that lives in Texas still? Or you go?
I don't know them. Yeah, we got them some in Waco. We got some in Fort Worth. I don't know any of them that was in Louisiana on my mom's side. She never really stayed in touch, but we definitely got some in Fort Worth and Waco. But we're not close to them. We know of each other through some of our cousins. We got some cousins in Sacramento who was actually closer to my pops than I was, and they deal with them. But as far as me, nah, never reached out. We ain't ever did a big family reunion thing to actually try to get the family together to where we can, just get to knowing each other.
All right, so Hunters Point is where you were born and raised.
Yes, sir.
And from my understanding, you grew up with a pretty big family?
Yeah, yep. 17 of us. As far as my mom is only 3 of us. It's 3 boys, but my pops, yeah, he was putting it. He was a Rolling Stone. Yeah, 17.
Holy
it's
shit.
17 of us.
And where do you lie in that? Youngest,
I'm in
oldest?
the middle. I'm like in the middle. I got like 17. I'm probably from the oldest. Let me see. I have to count. Yeah. April, Fifi. I'm like number 7. So, and then it's 10 up under me. Damn. So I'm number 7 or 8. I'm number 8. And then there's the rest of them. So I'm like right in the middle.
And so growing up, did you guys all kind of... Were you guys close?
We wasn't super close because of the age difference. Like my mom is actually the same age as my oldest sister. You know what I mean? Like she hung out. That's how my father met her. He liked them young.
That is crazy.
No, she was hanging out with my actual sister. That was one of her friends, and Pops just was like, hey, yeah, you know what I mean?
Pops was in the field.
Yeah. Oh, he was in the field for real. You know what I mean? But, he asked my grandmother, for her blessing, and she gave him the blessing, like, yeah, dealing with my daughter, because she was like 17, 16. He was like fucking 30-something.
Oh, shit.
Something like, yeah, oh, yeah, he was up there. And she was just like, yeah, gave him the blessing, take care of her and, look out for her and, date her and, whatever happened. But you got my blessing. But yeah, it was crazy that she even let that happen. But she said he was a gentleman, he was nice, so she went on and agreed to let them hang out. And yeah, that's how I got here.
So there was a big age gap between your mom and your dad.
Yeah, big age gap. At least 15, 16 years.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, most definitely.
And what parent would you say is like the one you were closer to?
My mom, for sure. Yeah, me and my pops. My pops was, he's one of the ones that put belt to ass for sure. He didn't play. He only really, when we was born, they had fell out. They wasn't around, but he always was around when we needed some school clothes. When he had to discipline us, he was there. He was definitely the disciplinarian, and that's kind of what kind of pushed me away, because it wasn't like he'd come around and come hang out, play football, take me to games. He just came around when we was being disrespectful to moms, you know what I mean? Or if he had to go shopping to get them school clothes or birthday gifts, and then he'd disappear. But every time she needed him, he was there, though. And he made sure we knew all our other siblings. He'll come pick us up, take us over our younger sister house, make sure we knew our older siblings, because he always say, man, I don't want y'all around here making babies with your siblings, you know what I mean? So I need y'all to know every last one of them. And he made sure of that, he made sure we was all close. He was in all of our lives. He wasn't one that was just a baby daddy. He was really trying to be a father, but like I said, he was spreading himself thin, because of all the kids he had. But he was most definitely there.
And was he like a hustler too, or was
most definitely? Yeah, he ran a gambling shack. He was, the coke man, selling pills. Back then, it was like volumes. He was selling volumes, selling quarter teas. That's the coke in little packages, 8 balls, all that. 16ths or whatever. Yeah, he was a coke man. So he ran a gambling shack on Hunters Point Boulevard, where it was like a pool hall. And then it turned into like a gambling shack late night. I guess they had their little after hours, after 10, 11 o'clock, they turned the pool tables and they shoot throwing dice. Because I used to go over his house and he had a drawer full of dice. And then he had one, and it was like a canister that had dice in it, and I never knew what they was till I got older. Then was the trick dice. And where he can, he know how to switch them out. He had that sleight of hand shit where he can switch them out and hit them 7s and 11s all the time when necessary. Like, yeah, Pops was a fool. Yeah.
Damn,
I used to wonder why them dice was always separate from everything else, all the other dice. I found out later on.
Damn. So were these ones that he confiscated, or he might have been using these as well?
I think he was using them because he was a gambler. He was good with them, and I believe, he was actually sliding it in, using that sleight of hand, swap one out and, throw one, doing his little thing, man. But for the most part, everybody knew him. He was respected in Hunters Point. Everybody knew Cripple Pete. We used to go to B&J's. Everybody knew him. Sue up in there, the lady who ran it, everybody. Everywhere we went, we used to be in this El Dorado, and he really had the old school El Dorado diamond in the back with the sunroof top, all white with the blue trim on it. We used to be driving around like Superfly or something, And he was always dressed like real sharp in suits and, big butterfly collars, looking like a pimp, But he wasn't, though, He was more like a Mac. I guess he was Macking or whatever you could say, because he sure had all his baby mamas. They all loved him still, from my younger sister's moms, my older siblings' moms. They all loved him.
That says a lot, though, because typically they're not going to be friendly, right?
Nah, he was good with them. Like, he could come over to our house, play dominoes with my step-pops and be hanging out with moms, and he'd do the same with all of them. He was cool with all the kids' moms, all of them. Even if they had significant others, he had a good relationship with them.
Oh, that's tight.
Yeah, real dope.
That makes the difference, because, my parents are divorced. And that's always a big topic, or like a big situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
When someone gets a new significant other.
Right. It stirred the pot a little bit,
that's
and
when families stop fucking with each other, really.
He wasn't tripping.
Damn, so would you say Pops was like a big influence in your life?
Big influence. As far as the respect he had rolling through the neighborhood And just the hustle he had too, just seeing him with bankrolls, just money nonstop, just going to get whatever and just being able to buy me whatever I wanted, because there was a lot of kids who had to shop back then. It was like Mervyn's, J.C. Penney's, people going to National Dollars, getting the cheaper stuff. Like he took me and got me quality stuff. I was in the Levi's, the Lee jeans, the Wranglers, if I wanted the black Adidas or the tobaccos, Stan Smiths, Argyle sweater, he'd get it for me. He was buying me the stuff that a lot of people couldn't get, because my mama, she'd go to the department stores and charge us for some Stadias or some, we got to wear the little regular Nikes with the straps or something that they only sell at Mervyn's or something. But if I needed them a top 10 Adidas or something,
some
or the black, some
Mom
Stan
got
Smith.
you right, but he got you fly.
He got me, yeah, exactly. Mom spoiled me, but he really spoiled me. I was one of the first ones in the neighborhood. When they like the little pocket bikes, the little YSRs, they look like little ninjas. I was the first one in San Francisco, anywhere with one. I was the first, that had one. When they first put them out top of the hill, Daly City, I forgot that motorcycle spot.
That's fine.
But I thought it was a demo for the big bikes that they had there. But dude was like, nah, them was actual motorcycles. I was like, was that right? He was like, yeah, we just put it out there on display today. I ran home. And begged my mom, she didn't call your daddy. Called him up, and he cussed me out a little bit. Man, y'all always calling me this and that. I'm doing this. Man, but he'll get it. I know I'm going to have to go through it, but I knew he was going to get it. I said, let me just take the little shit from him, and after that, he going to go up there and get it. He went up there and got it for me, too.
Yeah, so Pop bless you with the brand new pocket bike.
Brand new. Didn't even know how to change gears. None of that. I didn't know it had gears on it, the 1 down 4. I didn't know none of that.
How old are you at this time?
I was probably like about 13, 12 or 13. I was young. Yep, I was young. And he got that thing for me, man. This was right before I actually got into the actual D game and started getting money for myself. But yeah, he looked out for me. Got that.
Yeah, what made you get into that game? Was it just because you wanted more shit, or it was just stuff you'd seen around the neighborhood?
Stuff I seen around the neighborhood. It was one of my other partners, man. Excuse me. Rest in peace, my boy Quindell, man. He was, we was on our way going to school. We all in middle school, and we seeing him, he cutting, and he out there with the older guys, and we see him hustling, and we, man, you stupid, this and that, you gonna go to jail. We kind of hating on him. And as the days go by and weeks go by, we seeing him coming outside. Now he in a fresh Adidas suit. Wow. Now he, can't go on. Now he got the fresh starter jacket. And now we looking, we starting to scratch our head, and the more we hating, and man, you gonna go to jail, you stupid, you out here, you cutting. His bankroll was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we was just start scratching our head more and more and more. And after that, man, once he got the car, he ended up getting a car or something that made us like, man, nah, you know what, look, we can't beat him, we about to join him. This dude over here right now, he's shining. And he was the first one out of us that actually left middle school and just start cutting and getting money on the block. And once we seen how he just started elevating, we all still jumped in. I jumped in head first real quick. And it started off with, I tried to do the coke thing, and we had to rock up your own stuff at first. And, had to go get the little shaker bottles and everything from down at the record store on 3rd. And it went from that to where it just wasn't really, it was too many people out there with it, so I ended up switching over to weed.
Wow, so you started with coke. And
I started with coke.
Typically it starts with weed, then you go to coke.
Yeah. It just, because he was fronting me like quarter ounces, and you had to rock it up, and I was making probably like only $50 or something off the quarter ounce. It was costing me maybe like $125, $150 for it, and then I was probably making $50. So I was just like, you know what? There was a lot of people. It was too many people out there taking turns and just had crack out there. So I was just like, the weed, it wasn't too many people out there with it. So, and everybody that was serving the crack wanted the weed, so you could actually sell to customers that's coming through and sell to the drug dealers because they all smoke. So, yeah, I ended up buying an ounce of Bammer or 2 off this dude. Rest in peace, my guy, Shiny King, man, who was the man, you know what I mean, from Double Rock. And that's how I really started getting going, dealing with Shiny King.
And so this was at like what, age 13, 14? You really
I was about 13, 14. Yep.
Wow.
Young.
And so, growing up in Hunters Point, do you have any stories about James Beasley?
Yeah, well, James, I used to just see him. I didn't have no money to mess with James. James was a big dog, but I used to see him all the time. Him, his brother, like Jeff Beasley. Like the Beasleys is a big family out there, the Beasleys, the Newts, like it was they all, the Tatums, there's a lot of them that's real known and respected families up in Hunters Point. So you seen them all the time. But as far as me dealing with him, I was young and I didn't have enough paper to mess with James.
So he was well established at that
point. Yeah, he was well established. He the type that when he come through, you just, hey, what's up, James? You know, and he probably didn't remember. I'm youngster out there with my little Bammer sacks doing my thing. I didn't have no money. The OGs was dealing with him. And I don't even think nobody in my neighborhood at the time was actually dealing with James except for this OG Lady C, Cena, who I was real close to. I was close to her sons and all, and we was all tight, you know, and they all part of Herm Lewis and them family. They all together, Larry June, Herm Lewis, that's their family and stuff. So we all was kind of tied in up in the neighborhood. So we seen Lady C getting her thing, you know, Cena, she was balling. And I think that's who he dealt with up there. And she served the smaller
because I'm sure at that time he's probably like a top boss.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, James was papered up. You know,
he's been doing a lot of podcasts recently, and I've got to
that's the big one. We done got closer since he got out. You know what I mean? Me and him done got real close. Like, man, him just talked like yesterday. He was, you know, he wanted to get pictures for my book because he wanted to post them, and he's gonna put something together with us. But like he done became like a real mentor, big homie to me since he done got out. Like, you know, that's my partner for sure.
Okay, so you guys got close after his time.
After his time, well, while he was in there. Actually, he had reached out because, you know, you in jail and it's like RBL is making noise. We doing our thing. And, you know, it's a lot of fans that be up in jail. You know, hold on, them like I know them. They from my neighborhood. Like, you know, and so he ended up having me. He did like a documentary type thing. I don't think he ever put it out, or he might still be working on it. But he had me come speak in this documentary just based on me being part of the music scene in Hunters Point. He being part of the, you know, being a big dog in the drug scene. I'm a big dog in the music from Hunters Point. And he wanted me to just kind of speak on the same, so like how we talking now, like have I heard about him and, you know, when I first started seeing him and all that. And it was always the same thing. You know, I never had the paper to rock with him. It was, you know, I was a small fry out there, you know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, you know, while you're doing that, are you still going to school?
I was going a little bit, but I was, for the most part, I was cutting. I was cutting a lot. I try to go. One thing about me, when I did go to school, I shut down. I'm straight nerd. I'm in school getting my work done. I always was like a B- to C average. I always was like around 2.35, 2.45, like 2.50, like around that. But that money just started getting better and better, you know, as I started serving the herb. Once it started switching to the chronic kind of came in, I started elevating more. Then I started having money to actually start buying dope. Like some, you know, I started getting a hookup once I met a few people, and it was just like I started getting some good numbers on the coke. So where it was like I switched over to that, and I just took off from there. So once I got into the crack game, I stopped going to school. But I was going when I was selling the weed. You know, when Bammer was out, I was definitely going to school. It was off and on, but I was going enough to actually I was passing. You know.
And so back then too, was weed and coke kind of like a similar offense in terms of how long you got to do, or was it still like, I know they're not on the same level, but I know now it's like.
Well, crack was worse.
Weed, you know?
Crack was different. You getting sent for the crack, but the coke wasn't that bad. You know, it wasn't.
And it's pretty much.
Of course, it was way worse than weed. Weed was nothing. That was a slap on the wrist. Okay. It was always kind of pretty much been like a misdemeanor thing, you know. But yeah, when it came to the coke, it wasn't as bad. But that was definitely a level up from the marijuana. And then when it came to the crack, yeah, now you playing with fire. They started setting up them laws to actually send people. And I always looked at it like it's the same thing. You just add baking soda and water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was a setup to, you know, kind of put the black community
exactly for the minority. So, but yeah, once I got into that game, yeah, I took off and I stopped going to school all out. I probably dropped out around like 10th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. I just completely stopped going to school, and I ended up getting caught up. I got caught up a couple of times, got caught with guns, got caught with crack a few times, and ended up, was supposed to go to log cabin. I mean, supposed to go to YA, but I ended up at log cabin paying for a lawyer and everything. So, yeah.
And so what's log cabin?
Log cabin is a juvenile detention center. It's like a 12-month program. It's like a year program for juveniles. It's like a camp. Instead of you going to like YA where you lock down like a penitentiary, it's more like you get home pay. You can earn home passes after 90 days of doing good. You can go home for the weekends, you know, and go hang out if you got a ride or you can get a ride there. They got a bus that'll take you, or a van that take you to juvenile hall on Friday evening, and then you got to turn yourself in to get on the van by Sunday. So it was a cool program. They had a swimming pool up there. It was like baseball, football. You was swimming, and they got the weight room. So you go up there and, you know, beef up and everything. Like, it was a cool little program. It wasn't really that bad, except for the fact that if you end up getting no trips till further notice, you're really going to be stuck. Because there was a lot of dudes who got in trouble. And they got a point system when you got 100 points at the beginning of the week. And as you messing up in school, you might get into a fight, they dock you 20, 30. So if you below maybe like 50, 60 points, you couldn't go home. And if you get that a couple times, then they give you this called NTNF, no trips till further notice or something like that. And you ain't going home at all. Yeah. So, and it was sort of like a school program. You come up there, you freshman, and the couple of months you sophomore and junior, and once you senior, then you become GP. Grad plan is when you got like 3 months left, you're about to graduate. You can go to transitional home, trans house. They used to be here on what was that, Guerrero over here, where that old Kentucky was at. So yeah, then you can. Then you pretty much out in society, you know.
And so how long did you have to do in log cabin?
I did the whole year.
1 year.
But before I went there, I was in juvenile probably like 6 months, 7 months. So I was probably gone maybe almost about 18 months. But it didn't seem like that because I made it to the home passes. You know, after about 90 days to 120 days, you can come home. So I was coming home every weekend, so it wasn't bad.
What did mom and dad feel about this?
My pops didn't trip. He just was one of them things where, you know, I was doing what he was doing. He didn't really say too much. It was just like, you know, hey, you got what you deserve. And mom's was the same way. You know, she was just like, hey, I told you to go to school. Hey, this is what happened. And don't get me wrong, moms used to come up there. I got out a lot of times because one thing about juvenile, if you got a parent that care, you can go to jail for guns, drugs, everything. They'll keep letting you out. I got let out about 4 or 5 times till a few people start looking at me sideways like, man, this dude, you telling us something? Yeah. Like, bro, how you? But it was just that my mom's come up there hooping and hollering, cussing me out. And, you know, in front of my probation officer, in front of the judge, she'd go crazy on us, you know. And they'd be like, okay, she care. We're going to go in and let him come home. They'll put me on probation, and even if I go up there violation, they'll let me out again. Now I'm just on a more restricted probation. So they did this like 4 or 5 times.
And this was in 1990. You go for a year?
1988.
1988 or
88. Yeah.
Okay, so it was before you got shot in your eye.
Yeah, it was like, no, I had got shot. So it was 89, early 89, because I had got shot, and then that's when I caught I was in and out of juvenile, but then they let me out on a restricted probation where it was sort of like they didn't have house arrest, but it was sort of like a house arrest type thing where I couldn't really go nowhere. I had to be in the house with probation calls and all that stuff. And then I ended up getting caught with a bunch of guns after I got shot because that's when all the gang stuff was going on. So we was about to retaliate on some dudes, and I'm collecting a whole bunch of guns, and, you know, everybody putting their guns in my trunk, and the police raided. And
damn.
Yeah, I got caught up. And then they let me out for that. They let me out again. And that's when I ended up getting shot.
Wow.
This stuff happened on 3rd Street, and they came up, rode through the neighborhood, did the drive-by, and that's when I lost my eye. And right after that, I got caught up again.
Damn. Yeah, so I just think it's kind of interesting how you had to go do this a year-long stint, and you're freshly wounded with, you know, you lost an eye pretty much.
Yeah, I had a glass eye, but I had an all white one, you know, and that's when that caused a lot of problems when I was in juvenile. Like, I was fighting a lot of dudes because they would call me Cyclops. It was like all these little names and all that. So I was in there like rumbling like all the time, every week. I'm from B3, and then they send me to B4, get in B4, get in a fight. Now I'm in B5. B5 in juvenile was like total lockdown where you came. Then I got dudes who across from me talking crazy, and, you know, because it looked crazy though, because that all white eye, it just made me look kind of.
Kids are ruthless too, man.
Ruthless. They didn't care, man. So, you know, just dealing with that. And then from there, they let me go on the home pass where they let me go to the doctor. They actually let me go with it was sort of like a security dude. It was almost like a police officer, but he wasn't. He kind of worked for juvenile where he kind of take you to doctor appointments and all that stuff. So he kind of took me out there, and dude put my eye together. This guy named Steve Young.
Yeah, was the recovery process a long journey?
Yeah, it was probably about like 6 months, probably before it healed, because it was behind there. It's sort of like, I don't know if you've seen like Fetty Wap and all that when he kind of got his out. It's just what's up under your tongue. That's what's back there. And that's what the doctor always told me. He said, yeah, it's the same stuff. It ain't blood. And people get to thinking like it's bloody up in there and all that. It's just the same thing that's up under your, whatever under your tongue, that's what's up in there. So it's the same thing. So, yeah, looked it crazy.
So you get out and then your friends are freestyling and they kind of help you introduce rap to your life?
Yeah, what it was is my boy Budweiser, when I came home in 89, Budweiser, you know, because I had a little money and everything, you know, like I said, I was always hustling. I was doing good for myself. When I went to jail, I had some money put up. So when I got out, he had started, well, he was already kind of rapping before we went to jail. He went from church rapping in churches, to going against this guy called the Miller in Sunnydale, and he was kind of battling him. That's how he got his name, Budweiser. He the Miller, I'm gonna be Budweiser. And so that's how that happened.
And these are rap battles? Like people are setting up like what?
Miller wasn't really battling. Miller, his name was really like Millard or something, but we thought he was saying, because when he was rapping, it's the Miller, bitch, we thought that he was saying the Miller, but he was saying the Millard.
Okay.
So we didn't know, and Budweiser didn't know, so we kind of thought he was saying the Miller. So he said, man, since they from Sunnydale, we from Hunters Point, he the Miller, I'm Budweiser. And that's where he got his name from, and he started battling him. I don't even think the Miller ever responded. He was just making music. He was just putting it out.
Okay, so that was my next question. Is this like a meet-up rap style battle, or is it just like...
They just putting out music over there, so we start putting out music where we was at. We just putting out tapes.
And this is tapes?
Yeah, little cassettes, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, but the Miller was just putting out music. He never responded because he was big. He was known in all the hoods. He was known, especially with Action Jack. He was like a known DJ putting out mixtapes. He put out all the latest hits. Like I got on a lot of music from 415 to EPMD to, MC Breeds or whoever who had the hits back in like the late 80s to like going into the 90s. Like Action Jack was that dude, you know. He had all the dopest stuff, and he had the stuff before everybody knew about it. Even like when it came to what's like MC Shadi or whoever, you know, he put the mixtapes together, and you'll get up on the music and you'd be like, oh, okay, who is this right here? And then you go buy the cassette or whatever at the record shop. But yeah, he was just putting out stuff with the Miller and all them on it. They, you know, everybody buying cassettes from him, and Budweiser just started talking about him. But I don't ever think he responded. He wasn't tripping off of him.
But so during that time, there was like an ecosystem when it comes to like people recording tapes and selling them and doing that whole process.
Yeah. Well, at the time, the only people, they was really coming out professionally. It wasn't nobody that was just out the trunk. We only knew, as far as cassettes that didn't have, like, that wasn't put out professionally, it wasn't nobody around doing that. We was pretty much probably the first ones up there on Harbor with Budweiser and all of us doing that. The first person we seen doing it was Too Short when he came through. And then besides that, after that, it was like ATC. We seen them come out with like a vinyl. They put out like a single, and that was back, they was kind of sounding like nobody really got up on them, you know, much love to Phil and all them. But they had more of like that LL Cool J scratchings, like crazy, like real mad, like New York hip hop style. And Cool Nut was the one that set it off. When Cool Nut, IMP and them drive with Scandalous and I'm rolling, it was different.
So I'm just always fascinated at who learns how to record, and who's the first one to teach people how to record onto the tape. Like, what was the process like?
That was me. I had to learn on my own. Like, we didn't have.
There's no YouTube. You can't look up a tutorial.
None of that. What I had to do was, I had this dude Double B. You know, my boy Double B, man, Malik now. He done switched his name up and everything. He was back then. He was Herman, and his rap name was Double B, Double Barrel. He said he knew how Budweiser came to me, wanted me to invest into the equipment. I said, all right, I get it. I didn't have no plans of trying to work the equipment, trying to be a rapper or none of that. I just was going to be the investor, buy the equipment from them. And then he was just like, you know, man, I'm going to compensate you for that. I'm going to give you some, you know, give you money if I sell or whatever. I was like, whatever. I wasn't even tripping. So we go buy the stuff. And Double B say, man, I know everything to get, which he kind of did. He knew everything to get. He was like, man, we got to get this beat machine. We got to get this. We need a 4-track for recording. We need the keyboards. We got all that stuff. When we got home, nobody knew how to hook up nothing. We didn't know nothing about the RCAs. We didn't get no MIDI chords. We didn't absolutely nothing. How to work the microphone. So he's sitting around tinkering with stuff, and he kind of pissing me off. I'm like, bro, I thought you knew how to work it. He's like, yeah, when I was at my guy, because he used to be with this DJ dude or something.
Yeah.
When he used to be rapping, and so he say that he knew how to work the stuff, but he didn't. So the next day, I get up, I go out, and I bring some of the equipment, the 4 tracks, to the pawn shop, because I grabbed some stuff from Guitar Center. I went to the pawn shop. The pawn shop like, yeah, you got to get these chords, the MIDI chords, to make the machines work together, and then you got to get these 1/4-inch plugs to plug in to each of the channels. So the instrument, you plug it in here, you run it to there, and for your stereo, you need these RCAs so you can hear the sound. So I start getting how everything works, and I start tinkering with it, and I figured it out, and we first started, we wasn't even really using MIDI. We was playing live. I had to play live for 5 minutes. I had a Dr. Rhythm drum machine. I let the drum track play on 1 track because it was a 4-track, a Yamaha that I had. I played the drums on 1 track. Then after that, play all the way through. Then I play the piano, whatever. I'm going to play the bass line over the drums. Wow. And then what I do is I record the 2 tracks over the 1 track and free up a track, so then I recorded the drums with the bass line, I mix it, record that over the 1 track, and it was just all bouncing. So the more we record, we just bounce over the 1 track, and then we free up a track. So we always had everything on 1 track and had 3 tracks to record on. You know what I'm saying? So if I add pianos, I add the pianos. The music will be on track 4. I add the pianos on track 3. We bounce it over to track 1, and then now I free up that track. I erase that track and everything on track 1, and I just keep repeating the process as I add stuff.
And so this is on like a. It's not on a computer.
Nah, no computers at the time. Okay, that was unheard of. The Atari computers, and they was black and white. And that's when later on when I met TC, when we started looking for where Coog Nothing and recorded at. Once we really got introduced to TC, and we went over there to, I think it was Sucker Free Studios, they was calling at the time or something like that, over there in Lakeview off of Ocean Street. We went there. I'm like, wow. I'm in there looking around like, dang, this real studio, they big boards and all that, and I'm seeing all the equipment, all the modules. I'm like, man. And they had a small little Atari computer, black and white, floppy disk and all that stuff. So I was just like, wow.
That's incredible.
It looked like, technology was like crazy. I'm like, wow, okay. So he like, yeah, man, I'm finna move back to Hunters Point, and y'all come through, and I'll show y'all what's up and show you how to record and all that. So, and TC put me on from there, and that's when I started really getting into learning about the sample time. 'Cause what happened was when I went over there, I wanted to sample records, and I didn't have no sampler, so I ended up getting an SB12, and it only had like 2.5 seconds. And I believe it was my boy Phil and them first that told me. They was like, yeah, you got to speed the record up, speed it up to where it sound like a chipmunk, sample it in at 2.5, and it's going to sound like it's going to be 5 seconds. You'll get double time. So
slow it down.
And I was able to slow it down, so that's what I did. I started doing that, so we'd do that, bounce it over and play it over the drums or whatever. And then that's when I got into MIDI, to where I didn't have to play live no more. I started learning about MIDI when you link it all up. And then I figured out that the SP12, once you hit play on that, it'll trigger the keyboards and all that stuff.
Damn.
So
a lot of trial and error, it sounds like.
A lot of trial and error. But it was fun, though. I'm talking about once I got into it, man, I wasn't outside hustling. I was like up late nights just with no books, just plug and play, just plugging and seeing if stuff work, just trying to make sure things work. And then I go to Guitar Center, and I was just like, you know what, I got to start buying new stuff that come with actual pamphlets and everything, because the stuff I got from the pawn shops, they didn't have no instruction manuals or nothing to them, so I just had to figure it out. But as I started learning, I said, okay, this Dr. Rhythm Boss drum machine ain't it. Let me go and get that SB12. So I started upgrading along the way and start getting stuff that actually run off MIDI, instead of playing live.
That's incredible. Did you always have a love for the music making process like this?
Nah, I just got into it then. But I knew I had an ear for music, because my mom, even like all my records that we used on the first album, it came from my mom. She had a closet downstairs in our house in the projects that had nothing but all oldies in there, from the Patrice Russians, the Marvin Gayes, I'm talking about Cameo, Confunction, Funkadelic, everything that was George Clinton, everything that was Roger Zapp, She had everything. So she was always into music. Even like one of my first my main song that I made, A Lesson to Be Learned, the Sugar Hill Gang, she was playing that all the time. Like I wasn't, I was just often listening to whatever she was playing. She had the big stereo system, being there playing her dominoes and bumping all that.
So was that a sample or the exact same beat?
That was a sample.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a sample.
I was like, this sounds familiar.
Yeah, that whole first album was all samples. I don't think we played anything on that. That was all samples.
Damn, I just think it's pretty crazy because you ever think about like, what if that guy did know what he was doing and you kind of weren't forced to be as hands-on?
I know, right? I wouldn't even I wouldn't even be rapping probably or anything. Because even me getting into rapping, I only started rapping because once I started making the beats and I started like getting a love for it, I was loving it. I started learning how to engineer. I started getting all the techniques in mixing. You know what I'm saying? I'm knowing how to bounce tracks. I know how to turn the 4-track into like an 8-track or just just have just like limitless tracks, just like nonstop. So what happened was I had a whole bunch of beats and they wouldn't come in and rap on them no more. They, man, I'm hustling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'll be there later on. And none of them wouldn't come. And I just said, you know what, let me go on and just make a rap. And so I just played with it, made a song called What About My Nigga? And I started talking about all my homies in the neighborhood. So let me do what Too Short said, because I remember Too Short was talking about, man, when he did his first raps or when he did this and that, he like, man, I just threw my homie names in it and they all gonna play it. You put all the big time dope dealers and all the, the D-boys and all the famous dudes, nigga who got beat in their car, they gonna play it. So I took that same concept, threw everybody's name in it, and they loved it. It was like, bro, you got a voice, you dope, you ought to rap. You sound better than Budweiser and them. So I got pumped. And I made another track. My second track after that was called Rolling Through the Turfs of HP. So I did the same concept that I used to name everybody in my neighborhood. I started naming everybody in Hunters Point. So I just visualize myself in the car, driving through the hill, going through West Point, down through Kirkwood. And who am I seeing? I pull up on Kirkwood. I see my homie such and such and such and such, and throw their names in it. I pull off and I go on third. I see such as
So it was champion people.
Yeah. I was just saying, that they fly. I see my boy such and such, man. He over there talking to females, and he fly. He getting money, and all they did was make them love it. And man, they was coming up there looking for it.
That's sick, because I mean, if you compare that to like currently, you drop names in songs, it's for a diss. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like to have a song try to blow up. So your marketing strategy was, I'm gonna show love to everyone.
Show love.
So play it all.
Exactly, man.
That's hard.
It worked. It worked too, man. Everybody came up there looking for, like, man, I'm trying to get that in that song, man. Black C, your new song, Rolling Through the Turfs of HP. So they was coming up there getting it, man, and I got the confidence because I was a little shy too. I was just like, I was unsure if people was going, like, how they was gonna take it, because T-Lo was the guy. He was like the Ice Cube in our neighborhood, and I really was wanting to get behind him. And if he would have took it real serious, I probably would have never rapped too. That would have probably been like the end of it. But by him playing around, it just made me just like, you know what, let me step up as a rapper. And from then on, and even then, when I tried to go to TC Studio and actually produce an album, I got a little nervous on doing my solo. So I wanted to do it with T-Lo. And he didn't want to do it. He was just like, Herm, Lou, and them trying to want to put me out. And, I got people who want to put some money behind me as a solo artist. But I got somebody you might like. And he ended up bringing Mr. C up there. He was dating Mr. C's sister, so it worked out.
Wow. So how long did it take for you to drop those first 2 songs to create the group?
From then, it was probably... It wasn't even a year. It was probably a matter of months because I had got out in 89. They was putting out stuff maybe from 89 to 90. That's when I was going through my learning process from 89 to 90. And then T-Lo, I was putting out T-Lo, Budweiser. They was making a lot of music. So it was probably like, when I really got involved, it was probably like 91. And it was probably a matter of months, probably like 8-9 months. Shit. I had made like Don't Give Me No Bammer Joint, We Don't Smoke That Shit in Hunters. I had a bunch of songs that I was sitting on. Lesson to Be Learned was already done. Bammer Weed was already done. I had More Like an Orgy. Like, that's why it's a lot of songs where I'm kind of mainly on it because that was gonna be my solo album. So it was probably months, and then Mr. C came up there. He made a song called Hit Squad New Jack, and we went right in the studio probably. He wasn't up there maybe 3 months, and then it was a group.
Damn.
Yeah. It was probably at the end of 91. going into 92, and we put the album out in 92.
That's pretty incredible. Have you always been a creative person? Because it sounds
really.
like from the front. I mean, how would you define creativity?
Yeah, creativity meaning like somebody who's probably down there, like as far as like well, I would say as far as like have a visionary, like I could vision like even flipping cars and putting stuff together. Like I put paint jobs together. I know like champagne. Like people always liked the way I did cars.
So I heard
you know what I mean?
I heard a quote about creativity, right? And it was like creativity is how you solve a problem.
Right.
Which got me thinking because it could be applied to anything. It's
right.
Like, you know, so it just sounds like you were solving a problem that led to you being creative, you know, or to have that creative outlet.
Exactly. You know? Like I did have a vision, like, you know, as far as seeing them and like, okay, this is what I want to do now that I'm doing the music. I kind of like wanted to kind of organize them. So yeah, I had to get creative as far as like putting the album together. Yeah. But I found out then, before that, it was mainly like just with cars and really just me putting together outfits. Like I always been
even
fly.
If you put together a fit, that's creative,
I was like always fly. I always had nice cars. Like I'll get the weirdest colors. I wasn't gonna do just a root beer brown. I'll go get a weird like off color brown that looked pinkish or something like, and then put some rims on it. Or like I did, my car was like a aqua, like a teal blue, you know, and I put the rims on it. I knew how to flip it. Let me do it with black. You know, so I had a vision of putting stuff together, putting outfits together. But as far as like being like a creator, like dealing with computers or just dealing with music or just being a painter or something like, nah, I was just outside just hustling, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so at that time you get out, you buy the music gear, right? Are you still making money from the streets, or are you trying to transition? Yeah,
I didn't transition until the first rap check. I was still out there. I was hustling nonstop. Then I ran into some trouble where I had to bail out. It kind of set me back a little bit. One of my homies let me borrow some money. Like when I was first going to press up the first album, I was actually broke out because I was sitting in the house doing music. I fell in love with it. I started spending a lot of money on equipment, and I wasn't outside hustling like I was supposed to. So then I ended up getting in some trouble to where where my studio was at, the police raided, and my mom, they started giving her, because our house been raided so many times because we was like the main house where everybody came to and everything. So they had put her on this thing to where if she get one more case or one of her sons, we catch a case or anything, they was going automatic eviction. They started putting in those type of rules and stuff up there because it was just too many dudes going in and out of jail, and it was not like no repercussions. So they started saying like, you know what, if somebody get caught with drugs in your house, you getting evicted automatically. Sheriff's department come putting you out, we giving you 60 days or whatever. So, and that's what happened. So they came raided, I went to jail, they put my mom out. We homeless. I had to bail out.
Damn. What year is this?
This was probably like 90. This was 92, right before the album dropped.
Okay.
92. I think I was just freshly turning, or I was probably 20-something when the album dropped. What was I, like 20, 21? I don't know. I got to do the math. But I ended up getting out, and I was broke. I didn't have the money to press up I knew where to go. We found out where you press up, because we thought you had to go to Hollywood. In our mind, we thought you had to go to L.A. or Hollywood to actually press up a cassette. We thought like people who came out with cassettes were stars. Like we thought Cool Nut went and got a deal from a label, and we didn't know that you could independently go ride somewhere. And I think that, where was that at? It wasn't not Fremont. That's where it was at. It was in Fremont, and we went over there to Fremont. I didn't have no money to press it, so I borrowed $1,000 from my guy Mugabe, man, this Haitian dude. He ended up like, man, I'll front you $1,000, man, just give it back to me. And I pressed up the 1,000, put him on consignment in stores.
Did he have to hear the song first? He kind of gave you like,
he didn't care, no, because he knew I was a hustler. He knew I had money. You know, he was like, man, I ain't even tripping off of it, Black. Like he knew I was always I can get the money back. He didn't even worry about that part. But we went up to, it was called Music Annex. Yeah, I had kind of a brain fart trying to think of the place, but it was called Music Annex. I found out what that was. We took our pictures. We went out there. Took them the $1,000 because it was sort of like there was like 90 cents to press up 1,000, 90 cents per cassette. And then they said you might have an overrun or an underrun, but just we don't know. So you might not get exactly 1,000. So we end up getting like 1,200 or something. So we had a couple to give away, and we took a lot and put them on consignment in stores. They sold out fast. They was calling, hitting us back like, hey, when we go pick them up, they're like, man, we need more of them. Like, man, them things went fat. What we did, we gave away that 200 on the streets to people who had beat in their cars. So whoever had beat, cassette.
See, that's marketing. That's strategic marketing. Who came up with all this? This was you?
Just me on the fly. Yeah, just like, man, whoever got beat, because we know they're going to play it. They're going to pull up at the liquor store. They're going to pull up wherever they, going up and down the street, mobbing that. They're going to play it. So I did that. And I'm talking, we went to Mission Street. We was in Oakland. We was in all through parts of different turfs in Frisco. Because, it was actually cool then because I did the little truce thing and all that. So it was actually cool at the time. So
yeah, because that's kind of what fueled it, right? Was the music?
Yeah, it was the music. It was the music. My boy Lonnie Green, he the one that convinced me to change it from "Don't Give Me No Bammer Joint"
to SFC, right?
To the SFC instead of making it just a Hunters Point song. And I was just like, yeah, you Race It Black, that's a hit, bro. You got to bring in Filmo. He said I can call people over there, bro, and bring them all in, bro, and then you could do it. And then I talked to a few of the factors around Hunters Point. They was like, Black, whatever you need, we with it. And that's when we ended up having a truce and did the treaty.
So my question is, how long does that sit down last? And did anyone catch fades that day?
Nah, it was actually, that sit down actually lasted probably about an hour or so. We was out there kicking it all day because, a lot of people came flying up there because they heard Filmo dudes was in the area. So they shooting up there thinking it's a problem. But when they pull up, they saying like, oh, it's cool. Everybody out here talking. We're like, yeah, if anybody got problems with anybody, man, y'all can get it in right now. Whoever got a problem with whoever, let it be known right now. Y'all can, and when you do that, a lot of times dudes be tough when they around. When they got a crew of dudes, they with they with the shit. But when you have to single them out, and it's like, okay, you got a problem with him. All right, go on and go and shoot that fade then.
So no one decided.
Nobody. It was cool. It was like, all right, well, it's over with then. About a week after that, we was doing shows with them with GLP and all them. Man, we was with all them at the Stone down there on Broadway. That was
your first show, right?
That was our first show.
Andre Nicotina and Richie Rich.
The Gov and them. Yep. It was Totally Insane, the Gov and Richie Rich. And I think it was who was the headliner was Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Sir Mix-a-Lot was a headliner. Yep.
And so you're doing all this independent.
Independent, straight out the trunk, man, out the trunk.
What was it like really making bread off that first tape? Or did you make bread?
No, that's what I was going to get to. Yeah, I ended up pressing up 1,000, so I collected 5,000 off of that. So I did $5 a CD on consignment, and what happened was them 5,000. I went and pressed 5,000 more. And when I got those 5,000 in a minute records, the distribution company, they had people calling them stores looking like, man, we trying to get this RBL Posse, and then he'd never heard of it, and then he ended up talking to TC. TC had already had Totally Insane up there. They had a little deal going on up there. So he was like, oh, yeah, I know who that is. Yeah, I'm one, help produce it and put it together for him. And I ended up calling TC, and he's like, man, he already looking. I was asking him, like, bro, where's y'all going through to do Totally Insane stuff? Because I'm running around in these stores. He said, bro, he already had hit me looking for y'all.
Damn.
And he was like, man, yeah, once you go up there, go talk to him. So he gave me the address. I went to Oakland on MacArthur, went and sat down with the music people. He like, look, we can do a deal with In a Minute, because they had a label in there called In a Minute Records, but the music people was like a one-stop where they ship, to different stores or whatever. So he's like, I could take them in. He said, we can do a deal to where I will pay you the $5 per. I'll give you the $25,000 for these cash, and then I'll give you another $10,000 on top just to do a little 2-3 album deal with us. And to me, I'm like, hell yeah. I was like, man, let's do that right now. I'm not trying to get that money and go hit the block. I'm ready to get my boy back his little $1,000, and I'm up now.
Okay, so because you were kind of coming out kind of low on funds.
Yeah, I was low. I was trying to hold my little thing. I had like about $1,500 that I had at the house in the little shoebox, so I didn't want to spend that. And the CD don't do, and the cassette don't do good.
Quick.
So I wanted to use his money instead of mine. I could still sit on my little money just in case something go bad. I still got $1,500. I can go buy me a zip or two to come up and do my thing. But it ended up working out. So I ended up getting that cash. I made that $5,000. I went and pressed up another $5,000. So I said, let me do all this before I give him his $1,000 back. So what I ended up doing was, I ended up accepting, but he was like, man, go have somebody read over the contract. I didn't even care about the contract at the time. I was just trying to get that money. He's like, nah, go get a lawyer.
Yeah. I was gonna say, were you skeptical of like signing? Because I know the Bay is built on independence, and I feel like the artists I talk to, they're kind of scared of record labels and
now,
deals, you know what I'm saying?
Now, but then no, because I was like, it's more where that come from. I can go make another album. I'm not worried about that. I'm like, man, he only want 2 albums. I'll go make them back to back and just give it to him, and then I'm free. And that's how I was looking at it, you know. But I didn't realize about the points, the mechanical royalty. Like, I didn't care about none of that
getting
because
clearance on stuff.
I didn't care about none of that. I just wanted that check. I didn't even think about if it sell. Me coming back to get more money. I just wanted that money he had advanced. He willing to buy all these cassettes, which I don't know if they're going to sell. I'm like, shit, because the 5,000 cassettes in them little boxes, it looked like a lot. I'm sitting there like, damn, it's a lot. And he willing to pay for them, take the risk. I'm like, and give me extra 10,000 to do another album with him and all that. So I'm like, man, I'm securing my future right now. I'm like, hell yeah.
Damn, and so you split it with...
Yeah, so what I did was I ended up giving Ed, I ended up giving him 10,000 off that 1,000. I was just like, bro, just because you looked out for me.
Wow.
And then I ended up giving Mr. C some money. I think I only probably gave him like maybe 5,000 or something. And then I went and used all that other money, and I went and upgraded my equipment and everything. So I upgraded the studio, went and bought more stuff. And we was off to the races. I went and copied TC. I was like, man, I got to give me an Emax. I got to get me an Atari computer. So I went and bought a Atari. By this time, the color screens was out. I was able to go get me an Atari computer. And I went and bought me a new keyboard because I had the little Casio cheap keyboards. I went and bought me a nice weighted keyboard. I forgot what it was. No, it was the ASR 10. I went and bought the ASR 10, the sampler. And I went and bought the JD990, all these sound modules, R8M, the JV880. Man, I went crazy. I went crazy.
Yeah, what was that? Was it hard to transition from, the streets to music?
Nah, it was easy, man, because the money was just coming. It started coming. We were so hot at the time. We getting booked for shows, so we knew we needed a manager. So we ended up getting Cool Nut manager, Tone Jackson, because people started calling us to book us for shows. So we getting people offering us like, yeah, we offer them 5,000. Yeah, we want to book them for 7,000. So I was like, forget that block. Like the block, I gotta sit out there. I might be spending $1,500, get 2 zips. I'm gonna
risking your freedom too.
Yeah, I'm risking my freedom, and I'm maybe gonna make $500 off them 2 zips. And I'm sitting out there pulling late like two days. So it's like, man, this is coming easy, and I'm having fun. It's something I love doing. The females coming through, they recognizing us now. It's just like all this fame, and it was real easy. Real easy, especially the first trip we did to out of town. We went to Pontiac, Michigan, to do a show at this place called The Industry. And man, that thing was packed out, man. We seen that crowd go crazy for us, man. That red carpet treatment dude flew us out. That was our first time on a plane. I ain't never been on a plane before.
Wow.
Flew us out there. We in some nice hotels. Once I seen that, I seen the world was way bigger than San Francisco, way bigger than Hunters Point, let alone way bigger than San Francisco. And that opened up my eyes, and I was locked in. I was dedicated.
Was it wild to see maybe like established rappers in the Bay at that time become your peers?
Yeah. What was crazy to me is just kind of like getting close with people like Cool Nut, who I was looking up to, getting close and seeing people like Richie Rich. Like, damn, I was just on the block with a sack and bumping him in 415 and them, like, and now he like, what's up, Black C? Like, being cool. Like, when I met him and Gov and them at the thing, like, man, I was like really looking up to Richie Rich and them, like, dude, these are dudes who I'm playing, like, bumping their stuff. Like, it was just a trip to actually be considered. Like, now we factors from San Francisco. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it was, man, it felt so good, man. And just the respect, man. Oh, man, it was so lovely.
And so on that project, you had Don't Give Me Bammer Weed on that tape?
On that, the first cassette was No Bammer Weed. That was our biggest hit.
And so my question is, not a lot of people in rap were rapping about weed at that time.
At all.
Were you? I feel like you kind of helped break down the doors in that, right?
Most definitely. You did have...
I did some research, like Cypress Hill didn't drop... their music until a year later, I believe.
Exactly. Like, they made hints at it, like but they wasn't nobody just like Bammer Weed, like,
There was references.
References, exactly. So, and the only person that besides that was MC Pooh.
Okay.
He was fucking with Dank.
Okay.
So that was before us because I got a video of me and my dudes performing his song before I met Mr. C. We had just got our first video camera. I actually was gonna post it for Throwback Thursday today. I just still need to do it, but we rapping fucking with Dank. We rapping 4 and 5 stuff, Richie Rich together. We rapping all that stuff, and this is before Mr. C was even around. This is before I even went and bought the equipment. You know, this was probably like 88, 89, something like that. So we got these videos. So he had fucking with Dank first, but it just didn't take off.
And I think from my research, I think Eazy-E had a song called "I Need a Joint." I don't know if that's true or not, but from the internet, you know, they said
fucking
it came out
with
in
Dank
88.
is probably the only one that I really remember. Besides that, it was people making references like maybe Chunk and some of his music, because Chunk was a hot one too out the Bay Area who was doing his thing.
But it was very early on because no one was really rapping about weed
at all.
Straight on like that.
Nah, not like that. Not like we did. Like we was definitely like we was trailblazers for real. We was the first ones, and even then we had when we did the video, we had to censor it. We had to spell endo, we had to spell it ENDO, and we showing 40 ounces and all that stuff. We didn't show no herb.
The surveillance,
right?
Shot.
Exactly.
I was wondering who's creative on that. Was that a director?
Yeah, that's Michael Myers. That's the one who He doing all the big stuff now, man. He's shooting the movies. He the big dog right now. And he came back and later on looked out for us because he started costing like $500,000. He was doing all like P. Diddy in them videos. He was like a Hype Williams.
That era for music videos was expensive.
Like even our video, that Bamberweed video, like it looked hella generic, but it's like we spent like almost $30,000 for that. God. You know what I'm saying? So, and it was like, he came back later on and shot How We Coming with Mystical when we got on Atlantic Records. You know, he ended up shooting that, and he looked out. He's like, man, y'all gave me my first shot. He said, ever since y'all came and took a chance with me, it's been straight uphill since then, man. He said, I owe y'all. He said, don't even worry about it. Y'all ain't got to, I'm not going to eat y'all budget up. And I think he shot How We Coming for maybe only like maybe 50,000 or something like that. He really looked up because he was getting like $250,000 for videos at the time. He was getting his paper. You had to come at least 150, $250,000 on up for his videos.
Yeah, man, that's honestly super crazy. Did you get any pushback from people advising you maybe, hey, stay away from the weed stuff, or was everyone just like...
Nah, they love the song so much, man. They embraced that. I never got no pushback except for when they just go on the radio and stuff. They was like, man, we can't censor it. We was trying our best to radio it. It just wasn't sounding right. We was trying to switch up a lot of sayings in it. Don't give me no Bammer. But just, they knew what we was talking about, so they would just, nope, no play. So we later on, maybe a year or two after that, once they start getting a little bit more lenient, maybe in 94, some of the mix show DJs start playing it late night. You know, they'd throw it in and everything. But no pushback at all, though. It was all love.
I just think that's so sick. What were you guys rolling up with? Was it papers? Was it a backwood?
Back then, we was smoking on Swishers. First, some people were smoking Vegas. I never liked the Garcia Vegas. Like that them things was harsh and terrible. But as soon as we started rolling blunts, I was on Swishers for a long time. Yeah, we went from zigzags to Swishers. And
that was like Mac Dre era?
Yeah, that was way pre-Mac Dre era. Okay. Mac Dre was like the backwoods and all that came way later on. Okay. That's like some damn near 2000 shit or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, I could never get on the backwoods. That shit used to be terrible to me. I'd never do it. I went from zigzags to Swishers to back to zigzags. I never got with them backwoods and all. I couldn't do it. That shit was terrible.
Damn. Okay, so you get the success, you sign like the 2 project deal with, what was it?
Big Beat Atlantic Records.
Was that after? Because I also heard that the label put up the money for the music video.
You talking about as far as In a Minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, In a Minute paid for the video.
Label.
Yeah. We ended up signing, I didn't know it was a 3-album deal.
Okay.
So
you didn't read the contract?
No, I didn't read it. We didn't care till later on. Once we start going in there looking for royalties, because we went through a whole bunch of stuff. We fired a manager, hired another manager. That manager played us. We fired him and went back to our other manager. So we was all over the place. We wasn't even worried about the contracts or anything. We thought a manager was supposed to give us get shows. We was more worried about shows. We want to perform, because we had got bit by the bug getting that money from from Michigan, from that Pontiac show. We just was our manager was like, bro, we got to work our way there. We just got to work out this stuff with the label. Let's get all this stuff together. We need to start focusing more too on y'all getting back in the studio. And he was telling us all the right stuff, get your tax paper, start working on getting your tax stuff together and this and that, because the money gonna start coming in. We didn't want to hear none of that. We like, bro, where's the shows at? And so we met this other dude who was throwing a couple shows. Like, man, I want to book y'all for like 2 shows. And we like, man, he's like, yeah, man, and I'm gonna have a bunch of other shows. He's like, y'all got a manager? And I'm like, yeah, Tone, we deal with Tone, Fogtown Entertainment. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, because I do management too, man. So we hurried up, like, Tone, man, if you ain't gonna be getting the shows, bro, we gonna go over here and deal with this dude and he didn't know nothing about the business. He just was a show promoter, really. And we ended up getting with him. We was with him maybe like 6-7 months. And he couldn't really book. He booked us a couple shows and he was throwing them himself. But we hurried up. He did some stuff where he pocketed some money going out of town. We got booked for another show in Detroit. He flew a chick out and kept half the money. They paid us $7,000, and come to find out we got out there, we thought the show was for $4,000. They like, yeah, no, we get your manager $3,000, and so that was the end of him. We fired him.
He was doing some backdoor trying to shake
Yeah. Well, that's my guy today though. That's big, bro. He's still my people's though. But at the time we was all young, learning and stuff. But yeah, he got a little greedy on us. And we went back to Tone and begged him to come back, and we got him back, and he started showing us about a whole bunch of stuff, because he's like, man, did y'all ever, the whole time I've been gone, y'all ever went to Jason in a minute and got royalty statements or anything? We're like, what's that? We didn't know nothing about royalty statements. So he's like, yeah, bro, y'all should have got a report on what y'all album sold. We like, oh, we didn't know. We just thought what he paid us, like, that was pretty much. He said, no, your album sales, you should be getting money from this and that, and you also get paid from your writing and everything. We should have regular royalties. You should have mechanical royalties. And so we went in there causing hell, and and he was like, and y'all should be starting on y'all next album right now. It's almost a year. We're going on almost a year since that album dropped. Y'all should get a budget. He said, in that contract, it said that he supposed to give y'all $50,000 to start on y'all other album. We like, what? Wow. Like, yeah, as soon as y'all start, he got to get y'all 50 and y'all use that to do it. And I'm like, man, I can get that 50. I can make that stuff at my house. It ain't going to cost me $50,000 to put out this album. So, yeah, we went in there raising hell. He educated me on a lot of things. And that's when I started getting into the books and started really learning. I went and got that music industry book, started learning about royalties, mechanicals. And we went in there raising hell for about 2 weeks straight. And then he started coming with the stuff like, oh, all y'all money that I owe y'all is in the trust fund. It's because y'all got samples that got to be cleared. All these companies is coming at me. George Clinton, Prince, Patrice Rushen, all these people's lawyers and stuff. Y'all owe them for royalties, for publishing, because y'all used them samples without clearing them. And that's when I was like, oh, shit, okay, another lesson. I'm like, how we owe? Yeah, man, you got to pay for that.
A lesson to be learned.
That album was a real lesson to be learned. I'm talking about in more ways than one. Music-wise, friends, family-wise, man. That was properly named lesson to be learned, because it was. I learned a lot from that album, man, a lot. So, yeah, it was so much, man, I had to take in. I was just like, so he's like, what we could do is y'all need money. The royalties that's due is going in an account. We gonna handle. I'm gonna settle everything with them. What we got to do is we got to start on a new album. I will open up that budget for the $50,000. He said, but I'm not just giving y'all the 50. What it is I'm gonna open up an account, and as y'all go to the studio, I send the money. Once y'all turn in the album, whatever's left over, I'm gonna give to y'all. So that's what we end up doing. We end up damn near spending over half of that. And he was like, yeah, videos, everything got to come out of that. Like, he played us because of our videos and stuff that we shot bounced to this. A lot of that stuff came up out of our budget. It was supposed to have been separate. So we went back in fighting for that. And by this time, we had like Relativity Records. We had Def Jam. We had a lot of people at us trying to sign us, to take us from him. And he was trying to do a whole label deal. But we shut that down. We was like, nah, you're not bundling us up with Dre Dogg and IMP. And we want to leave on our own. We don't even want to be here no more. You ain't paid us. So it was a big old fight for months. And Atlantic, Craig Callaman, man, much love to him. He flew out, came to see us, and he was a big fan. He was a big fan of me, my production. He was like, man, I want to sign y'all to my label, Big Beat Atlantic. and do a deal with y'all, but I don't want to take the whole label. And we was like, we on the same page. So he was just like, the only thing is I'm gonna have to pay Jason. He's asking for some more ridiculous number, like, he want like $200,000 for me to buy him out of their contract because y'all owe him one more album. I'm like, man, we ain't doing it. So we had to go back over there again. We over there flipping tables and everything.
Like type shit?
Hell yeah. We went over there with the man on some block shit. Like, I don't care. Like, man, y'all come, man, we don't give a fuck about no contract.
Damn.
Man, we went up out of you already ain't paying us. You lucky we ain't tearing this place up behind that them royalties you owe us. So let us go. And we ended up working out a deal. We ended up having to pay him. He went down to like $75,000, like, because it's like, dude, you only gave us $50,000. The next budget, the next album was only gonna be $75,000 for the third album. We will just give you $75,000. Let us go. So we had to buy him out, which I didn't want to do it, but Craig was like, it's well worth it. Let's just pay him the money and get on. And we just start fresh. And we ended up doing that before we even signed the paperwork. That's when Mr. C ended up passing away, and they ended up restructuring the deal with me and everything. And we still ended up doing it. But yeah, man, it's like a lesson to be learned for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had moments where you wanted to give up?
Man, of course. After losing him, that was really probably like the darkest time. When he passed away, and just like, man, it just everything that was going through my head mentally, just having people who you trusted and been around, because the people who I fell out with was people who I knew before Mr. C. I was around them since kids, or some of them. A lot of them was a little younger than me, but I knew them longer than I knew him. Like, Mr. C came up there like 91, 92. And I've been knowing them since, 81, 82, kids. Some of them I've been knowing since I was a kid, since 2-3 years old. Our moms grew up together. So just to be betrayed, that already was like a dagger in the back. And then just to lose someone who didn't deserve it, because Mr. C came up there, he wasn't like no gangbanger. He wasn't like no drug seller. He was kind of forced even into selling drugs because Jason didn't want to pay us. And he never invested into right way. And to my I ended up being smart and using my money that I did get from the shows and everything. I went and invested more money into the right way and started putting out artists. And when we did get some money, I asked him to invest. He was just like, man, I got bills. I got to get a car. I got to do this. I got to do that. So I was just, I couldn't force him to do anything. So when we put out Hitman album, I sold that out the trunk. I was like dealing with City Hall Records, and that's really how I ended up buying my house and everything. A lot of, at the time, a lot of people thought RBL was really paying the bills, and that's how I bought my house. And like, I wasn't making a nickel from RBL. Like, that was locked in to them shitty deals. So I was independent with the right way, put out Hitman album, and it took off because I set him up on the second album. I put him on a few songs, and I said, I'm keeping him separate. I don't want him signing nobody. And I pressed up 5,000 units. Walter cashed me out. He said, man, at the time, CDs going for like $24, $21. So I was doing COD. If he buy them all up front, $10. So I go up there bringing 5,000.
Wholesale.
50,000. So I did that a couple times over. We sold like about 160, 170,000 units, all COD.
Damn.
Cash on delivery. And Walter was loving it. He was making a nice profit margin. We was getting paid up front. And we just kept it going, man. I love Walter to this day. I still deal with him. You know what I mean? We just did some vinyl stuff, 30-year anniversary vinyl last year. So, they shut down their main office, but me and him, that's my guy, man. He always been straight up with the business.
And so at that time, you just lose your friend. You're dealing with all this business stuff. What makes you keep going?
Really, man, it was really like my daughter. Me having her, she was born in 91. Her, and then basically too, just the fact that like my brother and all them coming to me, like, my mom, everybody just, and also Craig too. Craig was saying some things like, man, you got to keep the torch lit for your guy. Like, you don't want to just lay down and quit. Like, I still got faith in you. You was the mastermind behind everything, doing the music, from putting the projects together, from the artwork to the production to the mix and mastering, just your vision. He's like, man, you just, like, I got faith in you. We got to restructure the deal, but I got faith in you. And then hear the same thing from my family. Yeah, he just like, bro, you got to keep the torch lit for him, bro, because they did that just for you. They know that you was going to tap out because they felt like you know, I wasn't really the rapper at the time. Really, I was more the businessman behind the scenes. I was the money man, but I was rapping. So they was just like, they feeling like, you know, they took that part away from you that's gonna make you just kind of like throw the towel in. So you can't give them that. You know what I mean? Don't give them that satisfaction. And I was like, you know what? I do got Hitman here still. Let me go on and do it, but I'm not gonna put Hitman under no contract. So when I signed to Atlantic, they was trying to get me to get Hitman in there, and I was, nah, y'all signing me. I'm Black C by myself as RBL. So I kept Hitman, I always kept him separate. You know what I mean? And it worked out. He still filled the, you know, he kind of like he was gonna be on the album anyway, but he did a lot more than what he was supposed to do on that Eye for an Eye album by, you know, kind of like filling that Mr. C void. So it worked out. It worked out.
Man, yeah, that's pretty incredible. I mean, the music industry mixed with the streets, it's a tough game, man.
Tough game, man. Tough. And you got to really swallow your pride, especially me being who I was and knowing people knowing me from the neighborhood and knowing how I am. Like, man, you got to really swallow your pride not to crash out and do something stupid and be, you know, I could have easily been gone sitting doing 20, 30 years because they already knew if somebody would have tore that neighborhood up, they know where it was coming from. Yeah. And, you know, even though a lot of things happened and we still got investigated, Fed still was kicking indoors. My brother and them went through a lot of stuff. It was just, you know, we suffered a lot, you know, from betrayal and just fake friendships, jealousy, and everything, jealousy and all that, man. It's just like we all doing good. We, you know, by us turning the other cheek and just staying focused, a lot of them dudes, man, fell off, struggling. And me and my brother and us here right now doing very, very good. You know, we all owning property, you know, kids and, you know, been just been able to just kind of break the cycle of growing up in the hoods, you know what I mean? So, man, it's been cool to just see my kids grow up in the suburbs, you know, seeing my brother kids grow up in the suburbs and being raised right, not being up under them hood politics and all that. So, yeah, it's been dope to just, you know, just like I say, enjoy the fruits of our labor now.
Yeah, at that time, were you guys like dissing on wax, or was it just like you kept the music separate from the street stuff?
We kept it separate. We did have one song on Eye for an Eye. Well, we had dropped subliminals here and there. Let me shut up, because we was like we was saying things here and there,
like if you knew type of thing.
Yeah, exactly, okay. Exactly. So, but we did have a song called Eye for an Eye, where we were just like saying names. We didn't care. It was just like, let's get this off our chest, and then from there. Here and there, it was one of them things like if the shoe fit, wear it. It was one of those things, you know. So, and a lot of people assume we was like, oh, they talking about them, or they talking about such and such and them. But it was just one of the things, we were just talking shit. And, you know, it wasn't no specific person we was talking about. But every now and then, yeah, we definitely was doing that. But it wasn't no diss like how a lot of these other dudes doing like actually diss songs and like, now we didn't feel like they was on our level to even do it because they didn't really have no rappers really around there. They was just straight hood dude. They was trying to get in it, but they kind of failed at that. They never really had nobody that was successful enough to even compete against us. So it was one of them things where it's like, nah, let's not get him no shine, because if we talk about it, people gonna go back looking and hear their response. So it's like, let's not even say nothing. We gonna just drop subliminals here and there, you know, just to make them mad. And leave it at that.
And then at the time in the 90s, what was your relationship like with LA and LA artists? Did you have one?
I didn't have no relationship with LA artists, but the LA fan base was big. That's our biggest fan base. They love us to death, especially, you know, the Latino community. They love us. They love us and we love them, man. They like right now today, I wouldn't even be eating if it wasn't because of them. Like when I look across the board, all the DSPs, whether it's I'm going through Empire Dashboard, whether I'm looking at iTunes, Spotify. LA market is the biggest, is our biggest sellers. LA, then it's San Jose, then it's Sacramento, then it's San Francisco. You know, and it's always been like that. You would think home base would be your number one market, but it's not. It's like fourth and it's fifth in certain areas. You know what I mean? I mean on certain platforms, but LA is number one everywhere, all across the board. LA and San Jose.
Were you listening to any LA artists at that time, or?
Yeah, that's all I used to listen to. That's why a lot of my production was influenced by, you know, it's like heavily influenced by Dr. Dre, And then it's later on, it started being influenced by Code 187 from A Butter Law. I started getting into him and cocaine and all them and seeing the way the sounds he using, and that's where I kind of got a lot of my stuff from him. And then later on, of course, all the Death Row, once Dr. Dre and them started really getting more into that G-funky sound, I automatically started evolving more into like that mobbish G-funkish type sound too, incorporated in mine, because we left the sample, so we had to, which we was already playing. We already had an original sound when we first started, but for some reason when we got over there to In a Minute and we had to make the first album, I went crazy with them samplers. So I started, going through the records like, TC got 30-some seconds of sampling time. So I'm on Patrice Rushen, on Ohio Players. Let me mix it with a little salt and pepper. I'll start going crazy. Third bass. Let me get all these loops and start putting them together.
So you've always kept a hands-on approach when it comes to the music creation, even after the success of everything.
Yeah. Because I was, I was the main producer, so I was doing everything. So for the most part, I had to be hands-on because our whole sound came from me. So I was doing the whole first album I produced, except for G's by the 1, 2, 3s. TC produced that. Then the second album I maybe produced like maybe 60 to 70% of it, and then we had brought Selsky came in and did some, and TC and Enhancer maybe did 1 or 2. So I always been hands on.
You always kept it just for yourself, your beats and stuff?
No, I dealt with a lot of people. Like a lot of people around Hunters Point. Like you had to have a relationship with me to get beats from me. I wasn't advertising to where I was just doing beats for just any and everybody, but a lot of San Francisco artists had came and got beats from me. And it was mainly my artists like NOH, Hitman. I was producing a lot of their stuff.
Saved a lot of money too.
Yeah.
Made you a lot of money too, right? Because it's like now you own a lot of percentage of the song when
exactly
I'm the producer and the writer, right?
Come on, producer, writer, and executive producer. Putting the money behind it. So
yeah, man. That's one thing I really appreciate about you is the fact that you know the behind the scenes stuff and in front of the camera type stuff, like or on the mic for this example. And
that's what you got to do. I think that's what hurt a lot of artists. Forgot who I was just talking to about that. I don't know if it was Richie Rich or somebody, but we was discussing. I was saying talking about how a lot of artists nowadays they not surviving this era because they don't know how. A lot of them is they need a producer, they need an executive producer, they need somebody to be financially behind them to put up the money and everything. I'm not gonna say too many names, but it's a lot of them who, without a label backing them or something, they don't know what to do because they wasn't really independent. They always had somebody over, but people like me, JT, the bigger figure, you had certain people like that who was really, we was not only producers or not only rappers, but we producing and we know how to go in and negotiate the deals. We surviving right now. We benefiting from that, and we owning our catalogs. And we not somebody who went and did an album with this dude who's a drug dealer or this dude who got a label and want to put us out, and we don't own none of it. It's like, I done did a deal over here, I done did a deal over there, and it's like I'm looking for another deal somewhere for me to eat. They don't know how to get in there themselves and put it together. Let me go on and choreograph this whole thing. Let me go on and get the artwork done. Let me go on over here to Empire, try to put something, like they don't know how to do it, so they lost in the sauce right now, and it hurts. And I'm very grateful that I learned this stuff, just falling in love with the whole behind the scenes thing with the music industry.
And that's what I think is the key to longevity. One, you gotta love this shit.
Got to.
And you got every part of it.
Every part of it, real talk. And I love it, whether I get paid for it or not. I'm so happy that I'm actually able to get money out of it still get booked for shows, but I would do it no matter what, whether I got paid or not. I just love, I eat, sleep, drink this all day, every day, whether it's watching podcasts about music, whether it's listening to music, whether it's just online, whatever. And my life is just music, you know what I mean? So I live it.
No, that's so sick. If you had to give any advice to an upcoming artist, what would it be?
Me, I always say this. I say, man, just don't quit your day job. Just, do it out of love. I think if you having fun with it, you make the best music. But if you come in counting on, I want to get a check, hopefully I can get paid. I'm spending all my money. I hope I can get, if you come in nervous and you hoping to be like the next artist because he he done got the golden ticket and got him a hit song out, and you thinking that that's gonna happen for you, you're gonna get your feelings hurt. But if you just doing it out of love and you just passionate about it and you ain't quit your day job, you're able to pay your bills somewhere else, and then something happened for you, then you're gonna be blessed to actually get into something and get paid for something, because you don't feel like me right now. I feel like I don't have a job. It's like I love doing it. So as long as you love doing it, you would never work a day in your life. And I tell them all the time, bro, just do it out of love. If something hit, it hit. If it don't, you're not tripping, because you still paying your bills, you still eating this other way. Yeah. So just don't quit your day job. Do it out of love. And if something happened for you, man, then put all your time and energy into it. If you catch a little flame, you get a little, throw some gasoline on that thing now. You know what I mean? And man, just dive in head first and go crazy with it. You know, because ain't nobody going to invest in you if you don't invest in yourself. You got to believe in yourself first. Because there's a lot of people who, like I said, who looking for investors, looking for somebody to come like, bro, I'm dope. I can rap dope as hell. Hey, man, Black, put me out. It's like, bro.
Like a handout.
You know how many people who dope? But show me how dope you are. You got to believe in yourself first. What are you doing to get yourself out there? What is your music at? What is you streaming? Is you got something going on Spotify? I mean, is you one of them?
And even if you're dope, are you showing up early to an interview?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. Are you a good person to work with?
Exactly.
Man?
Come on, man.
That shit's real.
What is that? Them SoundCloud artists, man. What you got on SoundCloud? What are you doing? Like, is you creating a fan base? Are you, what are you doing, man? So, how many people is following you? What did you got going? And I know fake followers when you're paying for stuff. Like, bro, is he doing this organically? So show me that you're going to spend your own money into yourself, and then maybe I can help you. But I'm good.
So how often are you making music currently?
Pretty much probably every day.
I'm always.
I'm always. If I'm not making actual recording, I'm always listening to beats. I'm addicted to just listening to beats. Yeah. I'm always sitting down listening to beats. If I ain't online, trying to, at least trying to get content going and for the rest of the week, setting up, because like what Lil Russell was saying, I always kind of been planning out content. Like whether it's pictures, whether it's going to shows. Like I used to didn't really go out that much, but I go out just for content now. I'll be like, oh, such and such got a show. Or Andre Nicotina gonna be at the Emporium. Let me go pull over there just to get some pictures and show up and get some content for the week. So I'm big on content. So yeah, I'm constantly making music. I'm always listening to beats. And once I get something going on, me and my guys, I might send something out to my younger guys, because, they got that, they popping their collar on them tracks. So I'll be like, bro, I need some hooks from y'all. Give me some hooks. And after that, I got it from here. So I'm always working, man. I love it.
Hell yeah. How do you feel about like the younger generation maybe flipping some of your songs like Lazy Boy with the Bluebird?
I love it. I love it, man. I appreciate it, man. You know what I mean? It always feel good, especially if they pay homage and they ain't just taking it and don't like give you a shout out, don't tag you or something. They just take it and do whatever to it. And yeah, you feel a little, feel somewhat some way, and I don't even ask for nothing. I just be like, bro, just reach out and be like, hey, bro, appreciate you. Just want to pay homage, man. We using Bammer. We reflip this. We reflip. I got my 9. I'm good with that, as long as you just reach out, man, or even if you tag us or something. You ain't even got to reach out and get in the DM like, bro, can we use? You ain't even got to ask. A lot of times I'm cool with it, as long as you, doing your thing and you tag us and let people know that it's us. Because a lot of the younger generation might not know us, and you might catch, some heat from it, and it's like, at least let them know where it comes from so they can go back and do their research and maybe stream our stuff, and then we could benefit from it too.
Yeah, because that Bluebird song did like 1 million on YouTube. It was a pretty big song.
Yeah, it's doing good.
It's pretty sick.
It's doing good, and hey, shout out to him, man. And he definitely sends to show love. He reached out and showed some love, so that was cool.
All right, rewinding before we wrap up, I forgot to ask you. Did you lived in San Francisco during the '89 earthquake?
Yeah, I was in log cabin.
Do you remember what that day was like?
Hell yeah, we was in shower time.
Yeah,
we was getting in the showers, and man, that thing rocked. We was out in La Honda. It rocked harder out there towards Santa Cruz. We was out there where it, man, you couldn't even see straight. It was, oh my God, everybody was walking around with towels on them, soap on them, with Bibles in their hand. It was scary.
Like some Armageddon type shit?
Yeah, and then once the electricity and everything finally came on, that's when we had seen like the bridge had collapsed and hella stuff had went on. We was all worried. We all lined up to try to use the phones to make sure our family was all right.
But the power was out and all that, right?
It went out for a while. Yeah, it was down for a while. We was up there. I'm talking about everybody was out on the blacktop. The blacktop is with the basketball courts and all that. There's no buildings right there. It's just a big old open where it's like maybe 4 or 5 basketball courts. They got like the little diamonds to play volleyball or whatever. So we was all in there, all left out the building. So we thought stuff was gonna start collapsing. Shit. Yeah, it was crazy, man. Yep, I was up there with my boy Seth the Gaffler from GLP and all. And like we was a few of us that was up there, man. Yeah, it was crazy.
I was like, that must have been pretty scary. Just not the fact that I gotta live through this, but more the fact like, damn, where's my mom at? Or
that's what we was more worried about, because it wasn't even no 2-story buildings up there. They was all flats up there, log cabin. It wasn't no upstairs, except the main office. They had like a little small upstairs, but for the most part, it was everything was flats. The office, the chow hall, where we slept at. It was like big old dorms, camp dorms, the weight room. Everything was just like single level. So but we were still scared. It was rocked so hard, we thought stuff was gonna start caving in.
How long did it take for you to reach and get contact with your family?
I think when that happened, we didn't get in touch with them until later on that night. Yeah, everything had because it was, I think, a lot of power outages around there. Yeah, so, and then you had Hidden Valley Ranch at the top where it was the penitentiary, and then you had Hillcrest at the bottom. So all of us had lost electricity, man. It was ugly, but yeah, we ended up getting in touch with them later on that night. Probably was like 9, 10 o'clock. They let everybody call home. And that's when they was like, yeah, it's bad. This happened, that happened. The bridge collapsed. Such and such man was on a motorcycle. He ran in and he got killed. And it was a bunch. It was just a nightmare when we called home. One of our best friends killed himself on a motorcycle that night. Yeah.
Damn.
My boy Street Frog, man, rest in peace. Yeah.
Man, definitely rest in peace. Well, man, I really appreciate you breaking down the history and taking the time to sit down.
Yes, sir.
Where can the people find this book?
Man, online, man, www.rblposse.com, where they can go straight to the store where we got all the merch, our varsity jackets, no Bammer shirts, everything. We got the book there. You can reach us at www.rblposse.bigcartel.com. So, yeah, we moving and grooving, man. So, man, pleasure being here. New music on the way. We got an album actually dropping April 18th. It's an EP with DJ Idea that I'm dropping. Videos gonna be dropping next week. So I forgot all about 415 day right around the corner. I've been thinking about 420 and everything so much, because
that's a holiday for your song too, right?
Yeah, it streams, it go up, man. Every 420 it goes up and it stays up, man, for a while, man. I love it. The people ain't it's 92 and we here in 2025, man, and it's still streaming. It's just man, it's a blessing.
Timeless music.
Timeless, man. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
All right, well, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. This has been a Black C interview of the RBL Posse. We out.